So now in this video, we're going to go over just the basics of a 3-3-1 zone. This is kind of the most common zone. Some people just call it cup. So here we go. So we start with a 3-man cup. And there is, these are the people. It's 3 men in the cup, 3 mids, and 1 deep. So we have our 3 people in the cup here that we call 1, 2, and 3, the 1 being the mark. We have our midfields here. We have a strong side, mid, and a weak side mid. Strong side mid, weak side mid, mid. And then last but not least, we have a deep covering out in the deep space. So the basic jobs of each of the groups, the cup is trying to prevent break side throws, the mids are stopping under throws, and the deep is stopping deep cuts. So the cup in this case is forcing flick. Yeah, offense is going that way. And so their job is to prevent any throws that might try to go through in between them or around them. Basically, they don't want this guy to get the disc if they're here in the middle of the field. So the cup's job is to try to prevent any throws over here. And even up the 3 would maybe get up a little bit more. Okay, the next group is the mids. So you have the mids, their job is to stop is to prevent throws to cutters as they come toward the disc. And so you roughly have that the strong side mid covers this space, the mid covers this space, and the weak side mid covers this space. And there is some overlap. The weak side mid also helps deep, so it really is keeps extending. And then the deep just wants to stop anything behind the cutters. And so make sure everything. So that's basically where everybody covers. And then the important principle in any zone, but in this zone in particular that we'll talk about, is eye control and communication. So the first thing is eye control, which means if the mids are all staring right at the disc. Let me clean up these lines first. So all the eye control means is you want to not look at the disc the whole time. The only person who really needs to look at the disc most of the time is the 1. This person can look at the disc, and then like the 2 can look at the disc half the time, the 3 can look at the disc a quarter of the time, and everyone else should look at the disc only some of the time. If this strong side mid is just staring right at the disc, he's not going to be ready to prevent people from cutting in, or he won't realize that 2 people are cutting in at the same time and that he needs to have the mid help him. And so the all of the mids and the deep should be watching the cutters more than the handlers. So that's eye control. And the last thing we'll talk about with the basics is communication. You have to communicate with each other. If a person comes down here between this lane, the mid and the strong side mid have to decide and talk and communicate about who's going to get that person. If this player makes it all the way down into the cup, or gets down going close to the cup, the mid or the strong side needs to let the cup know that someone's crashing into the cup. If the deep has 2 people going deep and is overloaded, he needs to communicate that as well. So communication is super key. The whole point of the zone is to change the defense from being 7 1v1 matchups to 1 7v7 matchup. And that only works if the whole defense is working as a unit. And that requires communication.